Good morning, Muscatine. I'm back. So I'm super excited to be here today on the Muscatine Today show to talk about something that I'm super passionate about. I'm also excited just to be here with all of you. So happy to be back here with Chris and Denise, and we're talking about a super cool event this year that is happening for the second time, and we're stoked that it can happen for a second time. We're going to talk all about that today. I also wanted to recap that Fruitland Fun Days was pretty awesome. So, I had to throw that in there. If you haven't ever been to Fruitland Fun Days, make sure you go and like our Facebook page so that way.
Should I just tackle her to get my spotlight?
Get her out? Yeah, okay. Okay. I'll go to my seat now, but it is fun to be back on the show with all my people.
Fun Days.
But yeah, definitely Fruitland Fun Days. Go like our Facebook page so you can come next year.
We'll make sure we throw a link in too. Okay, so now you're back to the boring old bald guy. So that's what you get, folks. Quick programming note, don't forget tomorrow night, Muskie football hosting Dubuque Hempstead starting about 7:40 or 7:15, depending on how long the sophomores take. Should be a big game. Anticipating Ty Kozad back. Haven't heard official word yet, but they were talking week 4. Hopefully his hamstring's feeling better, and Truesdale and all the other guys will be there. So put it on your calendar now. Then while you're in your calendar, just go ahead and put next Saturday morning, just block off the whole morning, right?
Yeah, yes. Well, really the whole day, because there's stuff going on in the afternoon too, right? For the Crossroads.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so, you might as well just have the whole day blocked to do fun stuff in Muscatine.
But see, Megan was here and we already blocked that off.
Oh, okay.
And she actually did say block off the morning too. So actually that works.
We're tag team here in Muscatine. We help each other out.
Well, and MCC is having a car show as well. Their
first
annual car show.
I saw that, but I didn't see it was the same day.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
Yeah, anybody that says there's nothing going on in Muscatine is not paying attention.
Yeah.
Because there's
They're not putting stuff in their calendar.
No. Yes, do that. And remember, if you use a community calendar on Discover Muscatine, you can just hit a button and it'll add stuff for you.
Yeah, that's super nice.
Holy cow. So we should probably take a half a step back and maybe if you guys would introduce yourselves officially so everybody knows who you are, because believe it or not, there might be one person out there watching that doesn't know who you guys are.
Yeah. That's funny. I didn't know that there was anyone that didn't know.
Well, there's some new babies born.
That's true. So for all the babies out there, I am Ashley Loveless, and I am excited today. I'm wearing the hat of race chair for the NextGen Motors 5K for mental health. So I'm super excited, and that's what I'm doing here today.
And my name is Denise Greenhaw. I am with NextGen Motors. I'm the general manager, and I had passion for this subject for many, many years. Family history. My children actually played sports in college. And that was, a little bit challenging for them from a mental health perspective. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago now, Denise kind of came to me. She reached out and said, hey, I'm thinking about putting together this 5K. I want to do an event for around mental health. And she's like, would you be willing to tell me what you know about doing 5Ks? Because I've done some others in town. And really, that's where it all started, was just a text message hey, do you want to be involved? And I'm like, yes, absolutely.
And we did it very last minute last year.
Last year it was very last minute. I think we had 2 months to literally plan the whole thing and figure out the route and try to get a couple sponsors and just do the whole thing. Reach out to Dell and make sure that he would help us because he's amazing. So shout out to Dell.
If
you're doing a race in Muscatine or anywhere, you need to contact Dell in the Muscatine Running Club.
Yes.
Yeah, just contact him first. And then
he knows all the things.
He knows all the things. It'll run smoothly, and you just don't have to worry about anything.
Right?
It just works. 100%.
Yeah. So we met, and that's when this awesome event started. Last year was the first year.
Yeah, and I think we had about 80 participants.
Yep.
And because we started so late, we only had, I think, a couple sponsors.
Yeah, we had,
But this year we're just elated because we have 18 sponsors.
18 sponsors. So I think that, in and of itself, just goes to show that people care about this, and it's becoming more of a topic and something that people want to talk about and bring to the forefront.
Well, and I think, one of the I'm going to say fortunate things in Muscatine is we have the Brunsons.
Yes.
And, you know, unfortunately, obviously, family tragedy put them into a position in life that they would have never thought they would be in, right? But they have done a tremendous job, and man, this one's tough.
It is.
Because I've known Alma a long time, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for both of them.
Yeah.
Amazing family.
We've had similar life experiences in some ways, and those two are tremendous ambassadors, and I know you guys have partnered with them. I know they were there last year. Melissa went, and you know, for those that, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
for
wanna pick
those
up for a
that
minute,
know,
Ashley,
yeah,
please?
I'll cover you for a second. So for those of you that don't know, the Brunsons lost their absolutely gorgeous, amazing, smart daughter to this very subject. I mean, and no one would have ever guessed. And they'll tell you that story as well. And they become these ambassadors for mental health awareness, and they go to the high school and speak, and they're constantly embracing people and wrapping their arms around anyone that will let them, literally. And to be able to do that and I have like goosebumps all over, but to be able to take this just ginormous tragedy and make something of it so that they can help others, that shows a lot about your character. And they're just amazing. Alma and Brian both are just amazing. And the rest of the family, always showing up for things and making sure that people feel important. When you talk to them, you know that you feel important.
So part of the proceeds goes to Micaela's Hope, which
Yep.
is the organization that they formed. So
Yep.
we're super excited to
Yeah.
have them again this year.
Yeah, so Alma will be speaking.
Yep.
And then the other speaker, which you guys may not, if you didn't go to the event last year, you may not know who Haley is, but Haley Degreve is actually going to be there again. And she is one of the people who literally started the Gray Matters. If you don't know about the Gray Matters, then you should definitely go out and start doing some research. They have an amazing website, which will tell you all about their organization, but also has a ton of resources about mental health. Actually now, one of the things that I saw this past year was that they're starting to actually, like, they will give you financial support so you can go get therapy. You know, there are always those situations where either you don't have insurance or you've started a new job and it hasn't kicked in and you need that therapy for whatever reason. I can think of personal things, you know, with my family and stuff where those things have happened, and all of a sudden you start a new job and you have to stop therapy suddenly, you know, something that may be working for you. And so it says on their website, like, it can be anyone that needs help to get to therapy, and they will help you, and all you have to do is ask. And that can be sometimes hard,
and
but it's simple.
It's
a simple process.
We talk about that all the time with, you know, there's probably at least every couple of weeks we're talking about mental health in some way, shape, or form on the show. And, you know, and even in any healthcare related thing, the toughest step is always the first one, and it's making that first call. It's okay not to be okay, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's not just on the mental health side. That's like if your foot hurts or if you're, whatever it is, that hardest step is that first phone call, right? And when you're going through this, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess you're Googling everything, you've Wikipedia'd everything.
Yep.
And the next step isn't always blatantly obvious, right? And so organizations like Gray Matters or even Micaela's Hope or any of the numbers that we put out, like in the paper, like any of those helplines, just get those 10 digits in, hit send, and the rest will take care of itself. The people on the other end are trained and understand where you're at and are there to help.
Yeah.
And then you can take it from there, right? But those first 10 digits into the phone.
And I think they've made it easier because isn't it 988?
Yep.
Similar to if you were to dial
Right.
911.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier for people so they don't have to remember the number. But
Yep. Yeah, it's not even a long number that you need to remember anymore. And you can actually text that line as well. So if you're, you know, cautious about actually speaking to someone, or it's just not quite comfortable for you to actually say the words, you can text that number as well. And someone is there to respond at any time, literally any time, 24 hours a day. So again, like, that just goes back to the fact that people are coming up with ways to help others, to talk about mental health. I want everybody, wherever you're at, whether you're like in your living room or at work or wherever you're watching this, you know, raise your hand if you've been affected in some way by mental health, whether, you know, it's suicide in your family or, you know, you've struggled with it yourself or, you know, whatever, you know, someone that's struggling that hasn't been willing to talk to someone, or maybe you were the only one that they would talk to. And what do I do with that information? That's been a place I've been in several times where it's like, okay, you know, someone just told me they're struggling, and then now what do I do? And before, I don't know, maybe even a few years ago, you know, I wouldn't have known. Like, I wouldn't have known what to do. Like, I can't betray my friend, right? Like, I don't want to tell somebody, but now we know, you know, like, it's okay. We know what these resources are, and that's what this event is for, and so many others, is to make sure people know that information.
Well, and actually, you bring up a really good point. Like, if you're, and we will get to the cool event, I promise.
It's such a, it's fine. Passionate about it.
We do need to do this serious thing for a moment.
Yep.
Yes.
If you're a friend, family member, relative, caretaker of someone in that situation, they're also trained to help you help them. So like, there's caretaker classes, there's all that other stuff, but you can call those lines as well.
Yep.
And you can say, hey, I've got a friend, family member that's like this. How do I do this, right?
What do I say?
What do I say? Can I, like, do I just make it an appointment? Well, maybe that might not be the best idea because they might react poorly to you just telling them what to do, right?
Yep.
But it's how do you have those conversations, or do you have somebody there with you? Do you whatever it is. If you're in that position as a caretaker, which can be every bit as challenging as facing it yourself sometimes, don't hesitate to reach out as well.
Absolutely. And I just want to shout out too, I had mentioned both my kids played D1 sports, and there weren't a lot of resources even for athletes in colleges, you know, and I think the NCAA is now starting to see that there is a ton of pressure when you're trying to go to school and play sports. And even if you're not playing sports, to be honest with you, college is just super stressful.
It's overwhelming,
So it's important for the young kids to just understand that it's okay, because that's such a precious time for them.
And what's so interesting is obviously we do a lot of stuff out at the high school. And those kids are both so much stronger than we ever were, or at least my group of friends. Like, you know, the things they've been through, you know, regular drills for you know what, and like these kids are extremely resilient, but then they also face exponentially more like social pressure than we ever did.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all had, you know, the bully in school or whatever it was, but they throw social media on there and everything else. Yeah. And these kids tend to handle it overall really well, but they need help too, right? Mm-hmm. Like, but they're also less afraid to ask for help, right? Yeah. So we can all learn from them on that one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, I know some adults that would be less willing to admit that they have, you know, something going on where they need some help than some of the students that I've met. But there are still kids out there and adults out there that aren't there yet, you know, that don't know that it's okay to be in the gray, you know, as Gray Matters would say, but it's okay to be that way. If there is anyone out there that could say, oh, I've never been down, I've never felt, you know, sad, I've never, you know, dealt with something in my life where I've thought I'm in this hole and there's no way that I can get out. Like, I don't like to call names, but I would say you're probably lying, right? You're probably lying if you said you've never been in a position where like something's bad's happened. Maybe you're the happiest person ever. Right. But you know, life's hard. And so
we all go through seasons.
Yep. And now that's what this event's about. That's what these amazing organizations that we're helping support, what they're about. Their entire mission is about this, you know, and they're local. And so
we have a special guest.
Yes.
Matt.
Yeah. So Matt McCleary is actually going to be a speaker at the event. And, you know, I have to be honest, when we were first talking about the event this year, and I didn't know if I was ready to even ask Matt to come. You know, it was a very close situation to, you know, the Falcon families and to obviously friends. And I wasn't sure like if it was a good idea or not, but I reached out and just said, hey, you know, I would love to have you there. We would love it if you would want to speak about anything, even if it's not about your personal story, but if you want to, share resources or things. And he 100% within a few minutes was like, yes, I want to help. And I think that's something, going back to Alma, and then now Matt and Amanda and, Brian, they're all like, how do you even do that? And so the strength that he's going to muster up for us to be there on Saturday and tell their story and talk about the, the loss of Nat. And, it was such a huge loss. And they're willing to come and talk about that and share their stories so that we can help these organizations and make sure there's nobody else that, goes through that.
Absolutely.
And feels alone.
And, the one thing for those of you that haven't had this affect you, one thing when we did a lot of work with the Children's Hospital that they always talked about is, knowledge is great. That's fine. But stories are what leads to wisdom and impact, right? And you can hear all the stats about mental health and you can hear all those stats. But if you really want to understand something like this, come listen to Matt.
Absolutely.
Come listen to Alma. Come listen to Haley, because it will change. I would challenge you, if it doesn't change your perspective on a lot of things, you weren't listening, right? Because it will go so far as to change how you interact with people. Like, somebody's having a bad day. You don't know what they're going through at that moment. Right. So the amount of grace that you can, grace goes a long way, you know what I mean?
It does.
Most of the time, if somebody's having a rough day and they're in a bad mood, it has nothing to do with you, right?
Right.
It's probably something they're facing somewhere else entirely. And so just in every conversation, if you just remember, hey, they may be having a bad day today.
I don't know what they're going through.
Let's not pile on today. Like, just that amount of awareness you'll take from this, right? And I think that would change a lot of interactions, a lot of relationships, just remembering you don't know what they're going through.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
In your personal life, in your professional life.
Yeah. Life is hard. You said that earlier, but I'm just going to keep saying it. It can be hard. But yeah, so Matt is going to speak. Natalie's family will be there. So, make sure that you give them extra love and support. And, obviously the Brunsons will be there as well. And even Haley herself will talk about her own personal story and how she, was affected. And it's amazing that these people are coming and are willing to speak about it in front of crowds of people that they may not even know. And we're just so grateful. Really for that.
Yeah, and if you don't follow Haley, follow her on, it'd be LinkedIn, because I know it was Robin Williams' son that she interviewed about 4 or 5 months ago, and it was just amazing, to be able to talk to people like that. So she is really expanding her reach.
Yeah, it's amazing how, I think, was it 2018 maybe that this started, the Gray Matters Collective started? It's something like that. And it's like in just these few years, the way that it's grown, I think it just, again, it speaks volumes for how much these resources are needed in our community, which is why we're doing this.
So just 4 years.
So definitely check out those organizations themselves, but they'll also be there with tables and resources, as well as the Eastern Iowa Mobile Crisis Center will be there with a table. Unity Point Health will be there with a table with resources for these exact moments in life where we need these resources. So they'll all be there, as well as, we'll have some food there.
Artie's food truck.
Yep, Artie's will be there.
Okay, now you're getting into my area.
Right, you're like, food, I can do this.
So
this is better.
wait.
So if you're not going to run.
I was just going to say,
come
clarify here. Can we come, maybe pay for a registration, get a shirt,
Yes.
food, and leave?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And if you don't want to run, that's a great point, because we also are doing a 1 mile walk too. So for people who can't even walk the, maybe 5K, then walk a mile. And we'll have signs throughout, yard signs with not only our sponsors, but also really amazing messages from the Gray Matters Collective and Micaela's Hope, and just some really encouraging things. And I encourage you to come out and at least take that mile walk if you can, or however far you can go. You can turn around at any point. You're coming back to the same place.
So real quick, what's the route? Like, because you wouldn't think that starting a NextGen would be the like you could do a 5K
It was,
there.
I mean,
But it's a creative route.
We had to be
It's-
creative a
it's
little bit.
pretty cool.
Yeah, but we knew we had NextGen. Obviously, they're, you know, a highlighted sponsor. That's who started this, right? And so we wanted to start there. We knew we had a location that we, you know,
There's room.
there's room, and we you know, we know the owners, so we were like, we can have it there. But so do you want to talk to him about the route a little bit?
So the route is, so you go behind NextGen, it's on Cleveland Street, and then you're going to cross over into the H&I parking lot. So
Thanks,
H&I is
H&I.
very gracious for allowing us to use that again. And you're going to go down the pavement all the way down to where the little pond is, there by the H&I building. 505 is what we used to call it. And then there's a path that goes all the way down to Weed Park. Once you get down to Weed Park, you'll go to the end of the pond, turn around and come back.
Yeah. So it's a really cool route, and for people who run a lot in town, it's off the beaten path of any of the normal
That's why I
runs
love
that
it.
you
Is it's
probably
not like
have done.
It's not just like running up and down
'Cause
Mulberry.
we talked about doing it on the riverfront, which obviously that's an amazing view and
is
a
amazing.
perfect
It is.
location.
Yep.
But we're like, let's do something different.
Yeah.
You know.
No, absolutely. It's perfect.
So it's a great route, and even if you're doing the mile, it's a great route, and you'll have things to look at and things to talk about with whoever you're walking with. And I promise you'll be touched in some way if you come out to this event, whether it's the speakers or the walk or the moment of silence or whatever it is that you take away. You'll take away something.
So the morning actually starts at like 7:30, right? I mean, it's like a bright and early.
So, yeah, Lindsay actually said like, "Hey, what can I do?" You know, and so she's going to start the morning early with some yoga before even pre-registration starts. So if you like yoga, maybe you only want to come do yoga and check out the resources and stuff, and you're not doing the walk. We're not here to judge you.
And
Like,
that's
you
free.
come do
And
whatever
it's
it is. Yeah, and it's free. And so come do the yoga with them, and the whole schedule of events will, be there. But at 7:30, you can start doing yoga out at NextGen with Lindsay. So
Yeah.
So for people to register, we did put a link to the NextGen page in the post.
Good.
So you can just click on that, and it takes you to a page, and you click on Get Me Registered, and you can go through. You've got options there for all of them. Can they still register day of if they don't get if they're like me?
Yep. Yep. So actually, day of registrations are huge, right? I mean, people don't know exactly their schedule, so you can register the day of. The one caveat to that is we ordered extra shirts, but you never know how many to order or what size, right? So we did our best based off last year and growing a little bit. And so it's basically first come, first serve for the shirts at this point. And so if you know you're coming, register now, and then you can, secure that shirt a little bit more. But if not, come the day of and still be a part of the event and get so many great things and possibly a shirt. We also got bracelets this year for the first 75 people to sign up, which are, specifically for, mental health awareness. And so they're pretty cool, the Pura Vida bracelets. And yeah, I mean, we're gonna have music this year, which we didn't have last year. Hepcat's gonna come. He's being so gracious as well, and gonna play throughout the whole thing. And we learned a lot from last year, right? It was the first time, and we threw it together fairly quickly because we wanted to do it, around this time. Like, this is the perfect time to go for a walk or a run. So I think that it's gonna be really great. And I do wanna mention, I feel like you're gonna cut me off soon because I talk a lot, but I do want to mention some of our sponsors because, like Denise said, right? Like last year we had less than a handful people, which granted we didn't have as much time, but we have some amazing sponsors who came out in full force and are making it possible for us to keep the registration costs low and to give more money to these organizations that really, that's the whole reason we're doing this, right? Is to do that and offer these resources.
100%.
So do you want to go through or you want me to?
Absolutely. I have a little bit of cold, but I'll go through these. So It Takes a Village, Kent Pet Group, Nelson Brothers, specifically Zach Fry, Union Tank, Van Meter, ZWB.
Shout out to the ZWB crew.
Artie's,
Yep.
Cryo Wellness,
Yep.
Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee is going to be providing some water,
Yep.
I believe, and maybe some food.
I reached out to Matt and he's like, heck yes, what do you need? And so he's giving us all the water. And that's right. I actually did say that.
Sorry, we can't say that. But that's a little inside joke.
Yeah,
Sorry.
a little inside joke with Matt. But I think basically he has to give anything I ask for any of these amazing events
from now until
forever. So,
Yeah.
but that's
So Impact Fitness,
Yes.
Unity Point, and I would just want to say Unity Point, they raised their hand right away and said, we want to be part of it again this year, and then they actually sponsored it as well, so that's awesome. Pearl City Chiropractic, Premier Yard Restoration, Stoll's Auto Body, Team Staffing, Remax Professionals, and Be Your Best You Health and Wellness.
the other cool thing is we had a couple families that stepped forward, which they didn't want to be listed, and that's totally fine. I get that, but we had a couple families that actually pulled together and wanted to be a part of it as a sponsor too, and not even get the recognition. So they did it purely because they thought it was a great cause and wanted to be a part of it. So that was pretty cool as well this year. So yeah, you can still register. You can go online, which they're going to put the link, and obviously follow the Facebook page so you can get all the updates of all the cool stuff.
Yep, the Facebook event link is there too.
Yep, and just come and be a part of it.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
I'm excited. Again, last year we didn't know how many we were going to have. I think last year, again, we had about 80.
Yep.
We have at least 80, probably 90 right now that have registered,
Right.
and we know we have a lot of day of registrations.
Yep.
So please come out. It's going to be a great event, and it's for a good cause.
Let's get them to like 500.
That'd be awesome.
You would have
We
a
would
stroke.
definitely run out of
You would have a
shirts.
stroke.
I would be so happy I wouldn't even be able to contain myself.
Yes, you would.
Yeah.
I would be so happy. So just come out and be a part of it in any way that you want. If you are just coming to get some arties and maybe go through the vendors, do it. Seriously, do it. We want everyone to come and feel welcome and know that they can be a part of this event in any way that they want. So there's a ton of stuff. You mentioned yoga. The day of event registration will start at 8:30. So if you haven't registered, if you're not going to be able to register, come at 8:30, get registered, get that shirt if there's any left, and those will be, why supplies last. We'll start hearing music from Hepcat right at 8:30, so you'll have something to do after you get that registration done, as well as some silent auctions that you can go through and check out. And
What time does the race itself actually start?
Oh, you want to talk?
We have not. I
Yeah.
just realized we've not actually said when does the.
I'm getting there. I mean,
Sorry.
geez Louise. I'm only at 8:30.
It just hit me like all of a sudden. I'm like, crap.
So the speakers are actually going to begin at 9, and typically about a half an hour, right, of the different speakers that we have who will
We'll
share
keep
stories.
it 25 minutes because Dell said
Yep.
never be late.
Right, never
I'm
be
starting
late.
a race, so I
So we're
learned
not
that
going to
from
be
him.
late. So 9:25, right?
Yes.
And then we will start immediately after that. 9:30 is when we'll start the walk and the run. So the runners will obviously take off first, and if you're walking the 5K or if you're walking the mile, you'll start a little bit further back after those runners who go incredibly fast. We were
Yes.
not prepared last year for how quickly they would return.
That happened when we did like Colors for Kids, those 5Ks. Like literally,
quick.
they do it in like what 14 minutes.
Yeah,
12, like,
I think
it's-
our fastest one was around 14 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
We were
literally.
not prepared. We were still like, we
Yeah.
have a minute.
I thought maybe he didn't run.
Yeah.
And I was like,
She's like, wait,
he's
is he
back.
like a cheater or what? Like,
Right.
did he stop at the mile? What
It is
happened?
nuts because like you get everybody going, and it takes like 5 minutes to get like everybody out and across and kind of cleaned up and going.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of look at each other, and you're like, and then they're back.
Yeah.
like it's
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's super cool though, and we're excited. And whether you're fast or slow or can walk or can't walk, come to the event and be a
First,
part
second,
of it.
third place.
Yep.
For how many
For all the
categories?
they win a free
There
car.
were
Is that what you said?
8.
They win a
Oh,
free
a free
car.
car? I'll have to ask Jimmy about
Maybe
that.
some oil changes.
Oh, wait. I'm the general
I,
manager.
I wasn't
Oh,
gonna say anything. I wasn't gonna say anything, but
But yeah, going to be a super fun event, and you can be a part of it in any way you want.
Yes.
So come out
Definitely.
and join us and all these amazing sponsors so that we can.
And thank you, Ashley. You've been amazing.
Oh yeah,
I can do this without you.
Again, like she asked me, and it was a no-brainer.
Well,
to
you
be a
almost
part of it.
just took the words out of my mouth as I was going to thank both of you for doing this for the community because without stuff like this, communities aren't communities, right?
Right.
These are the things that, it's what makes Muscatine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's what gives us our flavor. It's what gives us, it's why people want to be here. And it's not like, no offense to the big corporations, it's not big corporate stuff that makes Muscatine. It's this stuff. It's these individual stories. It's, Ashley, we have known each other a long time, and like your story alone, and what you do after that, and just how you guys support. it's a thing that could easily be not done, right? It would be really easy to be like, you know what, I don't feel like running a 5K, making a 5K this year. But it's important. So thank you on behalf of everybody.
Yeah.
Good luck, best wishes. We'll be there.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sure at least Melissa will. I'm not necessarily, but I'm sure I'll do.
Yeah, it's something that affects everyone.
It is.
So it's important. I was reading actually the other day and saw, I know you're trying to like wrap this up, right?
I'm
I'm just gonna keep talking because I wrote this down specifically to talk about. And so if I don't check it off my list, it'll bother me all day.
You keep going.
So
you know you can dial in and hop on the show anytime you want.
okay,
right?
yeah, I'll dial in. But I was reading just about suicide awareness and mental health and stuff. And did you guys know that suicide is actually a second leading cause of death in ages 10 to 24 in America? The second.
It's crazy.
Wow.
I mean, like, seriously, take that in.
Yeah.
And if you can still tell me that this isn't important, I mean, we'll have to argue.
So
agree to disagree,
it's
right?
not even kids in college
No.
or high school. It's like, how do you start talking to them in, when you're in middle school?
In fourth grade. I mean,
Yeah,
10-year-olds. Fourth grade.
I just, my first thought is why it's 11.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
it's not something, we're worried about football and, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep,
right.
but, that's the stuff that, I mean, whether it's pressure, whether it's whatever, it's making sure they're handling it well.
Yeah.
And they have the tools and support to handle whatever it is they're facing.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. So,
Agreed.
so cool.
All
I'll
right.
let you close out the show now. Sorry.
no, I think.
Unless I think of something else.
No, here, I mean, honestly, I think, you opened the show, you carried it. Why don't you just button it up? You know what to do.
Okay. Hey, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. It was actually really fun to be back here and to be with all of you guys and do this show. But I think that you should all just remember that kindness is free. So spread that stuff wherever you go.